Hello and welcome to the fourth video of the series Molecular Basis of Inheritance. In this video, we will cover the process of transcription, the formation of hnRNA and its processing. The genes express themselves through the process of protein synthesis. The protein synthesis can be divided into two separate processes. The first process is transcription and another process is translation. During transcription, DNA is transcribed in the form of messenger RNA. By this process of transcription, two other RNAs are also formed. There are three variants of RNA polymerase. They are RNA polymerase 1, 2, and 3. The transcription of messenger RNA takes place with the help of RNA polymerase 2. The other two RNAs, which are transfer RNA and ribosomal RNA, are synthesized with the help of RNA polymerase 1. The process of transcription in eukaryotes takes place inside the nucleus where DNA resides. A process of copying genetic information from one strand of DNA into RNA is termed as transcription. Transcription is similar to the process of replication in one way. That is, the process follows principle of complementarity like replication. But there is one exception. Here in transcription, adenine forms pair with uracil instead of thymine, which occurs in replication of DNA. The process of transcription is, however, different from the replication process. It differs from replication as in transcription only one strand of DNA is copied into RNA, while in replication both the strands are copied into DNA. The reason for only one strand being copied in transcription are two. Firstly, if there is production of two different kinds of proteins from two complementary strands of the DNA, then there will be a complication in the transfer of genetic information machinery. Secondly, if two RNAs are formed from two complementary strands of DNA, then these two RNAs will also be complementary to each other and they will readily form hydrogen bonds and become double-stranded RNA. And double-stranded RNA, as you know, is of no use in translation. It prevents translation. The complete DNA sequence, which is able to produce a messenger RNA, is called a transcription unit. A transcription unit has three components: one promoter, one terminator, and one or more structural genes. The promoter and terminator flank the structural genes from both the sides. The promoter is located at 5' end, and this is the site where enzyme RNA polymerase binds to the DNA. The terminator is located towards 3' end, and it defines the end of the transcription. The structural genes are the DNA sequences which can code for a polypeptide. Now, when we know that only one strand of DNA is used for coding messenger RNA, then we should also know that this is only 3:5 strand of DNA which codes for RNA. This strand of DNA is called template strand. And more interestingly, the 5 to 3 strands which codes for nothing is called coding strand. There is a term cistron, and there is ambiguity for using the term gene and cistron. Sometimes they are used synonymously, but it should be clear at this point that cistron and gene both are sequences of DNA. The gene may have more cistrons. That is, a cistron is a DNA sequence which codes for a polypeptide, and genes are the DNA sequences which can code for more than one polypeptides. So one gene may have one or more cistrons. The genes which contain only one cistron are called monocistronic, and they are found in eukaryotic genomes. And the genes with two or more cistrons are called polycistronic, and they are found in the prokaryotic genes. When it comes to the eukaryotic genes are also different from prokaryotic genes in other ways. For example, the eukaryotic genes also contain some sequences which are not coding for any messenger RNA. These intervening sequences are called exons, and these exons are cleaved away during processing of mature RNA. So the eukaryotic genes are also called split genes because the coding sequence is found in split forms intervened by some introns. In this figure we can see the process of transcription. The process of transcription takes place in 3 steps. The first step is initiation. In the process of initiation, the RNA polymerase binds to a factor, the sigma factor. It is the sigma factor which enables the RNA polymerase to bind at the promoter site of the DNA. The next step is elongation. The elongation is the process by which RNA polymerase copies DNA into an RNA sequence. The third step is termination. The termination takes place by addition of another factor, Rho factor, to the RNA polymerase. This is the Rho factor which enables the RNA polymerase to detach from the DNA sequence. In the last of the process of termination, we found a RNA sequence which is complementary to the template DNA, and RNA polymerase and Rho factor dissociated from each other. The enzyme RNA polymerase requires initiation factors for connecting with the DNA and termination factor for termination of the process. If we compare transcription in prokaryotic cells with transcription in eukaryotic cell, we find some differences. The first difference is that the nucleoid of prokaryotic cell is suspended in the cytoplasm, and the process of transcription is continuously followed by the process of translation. And there is no need of transporting the messenger RNA from the nucleus to the cytoplasm where ribosomes occur, and the site of translation is the ribosomes. Another difference from prokaryotic cell to eukaryotic cell is that in prokaryotic cell the messenger RNA transcript is ready for the translation, while in eukaryotic cell the messenger RNA transcript is previously in form of a long chain of ribonucleotides which is called hnRNA, and it is to be undergone a processing before translation. The hnRNA or heterogeneous nuclear RNA is a very large transcript and contains both exons and introns. It is processed before it comes outside the nucleus for translation. So we have to add some additional nucleotides, and secondly they contains both the exons and introns. The exons are not used for translation. Only the introns have the genetic information for synthesizing proteins. The processing of hnRNA includes 3 phenomena. First, capping. There is addition of methyl guanosine triphosphate, which are some unusual nucleotides at the 5' end as cap. The second in phenomenon is splicing, that is removal of exons and rejoining the introns for a functional messenger RNA. The third phenomenon is tailing, that is addition of 200 to 300 additional adenine at 3 end. In this figure, the three steps of processing of hnRNA are clear. In the first step, we are seeing the formation of hnRNA from DNA inside the nucleus. And in the first step, there is splicing of RNA. Here we see the red colored introns and yellow colors exons. The introns are removed and only the exons are kept in the messenger RNA. 5 end there is addition of methylinated guanosine, and at the 3 end there is addition of a poly A tail. Now what is the need for processing of this hnRNA? There are two reasons behind this processing. Firstly, the hnRNA includes the introns also. The introns are the parts of the messenger RNA which code for nothing, and they are intervening the exons. The exons are the sequences which are coding for the proteins. So they are to be cleaved out before processing of translation. The another reason of this processing is that the hnRNA is very large molecule and it has to pass through the nuclear pores. And for this purpose, to prevent breakage at the ends of the messenger RNA, there is addition of certain additional ribonucleotides at both the ends. The processing of hnRNA includes three phenomena. The first phenomenon is capping, that is addition of some methyl guanosine triphosphate at 5 end as a cap. The second is splicing, that is removal of exons and joining of the introns. The third process is the tailing, that is addition of 200 to 300 adenine at 3' end.